a natural lie detector. That's what I'm going to call you.
That's fine. That's fantastic. Do you know how to conduct a proper interview? And I've done thousands and thousands of interviews over the course of, 2 decades, more than 2 decades. There hasn't been 2 interviews that have been the same. That's a lie. And he's like, okay, what difference does it make? I said, no, I'm just saying that's a lie. But anyway, we'll carry on. Yeah. So for example, I've noticed that you play with your hands a lot because you might feel that's a way to be able to think about the next question.
Are you speaking about me specifically?
Yes.
Wow.
Or different types of questions you want to ask. There was a research done, if not mistaken, you decide on 25 points on a person in the first 7 to 10 seconds.
My name is Dinos and I run my own business.
The middle statement that you did,
yes,
with having 3 weeks,
yes,
instead of looking down like you usually do, you looked up. Almost 70% of candidates lied either on their CV or during an interview. Same type of survey was done in the US to managers and hiring people, and almost 40% admitted of lying during interviews.
Welcome to the Financial Frontiers podcast. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell icon to get notified when we upload new content. Follow us on Spotify and give us a 5-star rating. It will help the channel, which I hope you love so much.
Messages like that always saying, "Oh, dare you do that? I've got an HR diploma." And that's fine. That's fantastic. Do you know how to conduct a proper interview? Of course I do. I've got script and okay. You have a script, that's fantastic. We just mentioned it's not a one size fits all.
Yes.
Okay. So do you go away from that script? No, I asked the 7 questions and right. Okay. You should have maybe asked an 8th question.
Yes.
Maybe the 2 questions you should have asked at the end and not at the beginning.
Yes.
But that takes skill of understanding the person.
Right.
And it just bugs me that there's a lot of people specifically in Cyprus that are still not accustomed to how to run a proper interview. It's not just ticking the boxes.
Right.
There is an art to the interview.
100%.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because part of the HR process is trying to understand the person that's about to enter your company as much as you can within that small time frame, that small window you have.
Yeah.
And so my approach to that is, in terms of, I don't have any HR department here, whatever. I recruit all my people, and I've just got this easy getaway in terms of how I approach it. From the interview, I can only judge so much.
Yes.
I go with my gut instinct, my gut feel, and how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
When I interviewed Andreas, I got a great instinct. I felt good. Yeah. But I say to myself, I can have another 10 interviews with a person, be half an hour, 1 hour sessions. I'm only going to have 10 hours with that person. The only way I'm truly going to know if somebody's okay is when they get into the job and they start working. In 1 month, we're going to get more of a read.
True.
6 months later, even more. And then that's it.
True.
And then also things change.
Yeah.
But at least, the big red flags, we can kind of catch it at the first interview.
Yes.
And then in the first month, the next, let's call it big red flags, and then we move on.
Yeah. So again, we go back to probing. It's to probe the person. It's to ask the right questions to the right candidates. Right. Okay. Just like you said something very, very awesome. I want to get to know who you are, not who you want me to see.
Right.
Oh, I like working under pressure, and I love thinking outside the box, and I love working overtime, and I do. We all know that that's rubbish. So if you say that, you must say, okay, give me an example the last time you worked under pressure. And if they say, oh, my boss gave me this deadline and I could kill him, and what you said and what you're saying now there's no correlation to this.
Match. Yeah.
But it's asking the right questions. I've done thousands and thousands of interviews over the course of 2 decades, more than 2 decades. There hasn't been 2 interviews that have been the same. Okay, I might go with the script, I might go away from the script.
Yeah.
But the one thing I like to do is I'll say, look, just off the bat, there are no right or wrong answers.
Yes.
Okay, I'm here to get to know you just like you are here to get to know me. Remember, it's tango, it's two-way street. It's not me sitting on my pedestal and saying, oh, about you, tell me about yourself. No, it's two-way street, first of all.
100%.
Second of all, I'll give them clarity and I'll say, we'll go through the process. I'll give you my feedback. If we go through the first interview and you're successful to go to the second interview, fantastic. We'll give you a call. We'll see you next time. If it's a no, I will still give you a phone call and I'll give you the reason why.
Right.
And that makes the candidate more relaxed. If I see that they're still tensed up, I say, you know what? I'm really having a bad day today. I've had so much stress. Do you know any jokes?
Yes.
And 9 times out of 10, they will tell you a joke to calm you down because they feel like they have to. This is an interview. Okay.
Right.
And you can tell a lot about a person about what kind of jokes they tell.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing. But anyway, again, it's human science. It's understanding the person. And you have about 5 to 10 minutes to be able to analyze who this person is. And then you can carry on with your interview. If you feel that it's a no-go, like you said, thank you very much. We'll call you. We'll give you, we will let you know why we said no.
Right.
And you'll basically tell them we found someone who's more suitable or more experienced, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But interviews. I like interviews.
Cool. We're ready to go. Everything's running.
Yeah.
Sound and everything.
Yeah. The only thing when you drink your coffees, try and, because the microphones are really sensitive, when you put it down, don't do
Softly.
soft, yeah.
Okay.
Because they are really sensitive and they detect all the sounds.
Okay.
He said because he's an expert on it.
Okay, I'll be more careful.
Mobile is on silent, not vibrate.
Yes,
so we're
yes.
good. Okay.
I made sure that last episode I started drinking. I dropped it. It went all south. While we were recording, I told them that just leave it in.
It's okay. It's a learning curve. It's a learning curve.
Yeah, still learning 60 plus episodes in, and I'm still learning.
Not every single interview is the same. So you have
100%.
different interviews and different things happen.
Put this pre-stuff in. It's all good. Okay. Because I always start the podcast as follows. Are we ready?
Yeah.
All right. Another episode of the Financial Frontiers podcast. Today, my guest is Anto Paroian.
Correct.
Right. A truthologist, a person, a natural lie detector. That's what I'm going to call you.
Yeah.
We're going to have a discussion today, an interesting one that I've actually not had anything remotely close to in all the podcast sessions. And I think this is an interesting conversation, which ties into business, can tie into, your finances, personal life.
Yep.
And that is being able to understand body language, I guess, digging deeper, understanding more on all the phrases, all the words that someone's commenting on. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to this conversation. You got years in this industry, a fellow South African, also ex-South African.
Yes. I'm
also from South Africa. Anto, please introduce yourself and let's get right in.
So first of all, thank you very much for having me today. It's always a pleasure to be able to transfer one's knowledge, and especially when it comes to this type of medium where a lot of people, not only in Cyprus, but around the world, will watch and gain, even if it's just a small bit of information that will be able to not change their lives, because I'm not going to be that dramatic like a life coach, but to be able to help them better understand people and to be able to better understand situations, whether it's in business or their social surroundings. So born and raised in South Africa, moved to Cyprus back in 2000 with the family. I've been working in international companies since then, mainly because of the high command level of English. And at a very young age, I felt the need to be able to understand people a little bit better, starting from probably high school. So, when you have a transition from primary school, standard 5, where you're the top of the chain, you're the big boys, and then there's that switch where you start going to high school. So from all of a sudden, from the top, you go all the way down. And at that point in time, maybe standard 6 or standard 7, I tried to figure out why are some kids more popular than others? Or why are some kids more liked by teachers than others? And then you can see the specific characteristics and the specific traits that these kids had. And then that developed through my school years towards probably my first or second job, where it was more sales based. I had to do sales, I had to do probing, prospecting, and so on and so forth, cold calling and setting up appointments. And then I tried to figure out, why are certain salespeople more successful in what they do than myself? And then you start doing the comparison. I thought there was a special formula to this. The road to success is X, Y, Z. And I was looking for that formula. But it came down to, first of all, knowing yourself, knowing the prospect, and KPIs, the numbers. How many appointments, how many phone calls did you do to make the appointments? How many appointments did you do to convert, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, you get your sale, your commission. And then that led me down the road of emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence is a subject that it's not for the faint-hearted, because it goes on and on and on. There are many elements to this. But the one element that intrigued me was the human behavior. So how do people behave in specific situations, when they're nervous, when they're happy, when they're stressed, and so on and so forth. And then I wanted to figure out if I can tell if my boss was lying to me. Like, oh, Anto, the company is not doing well this year and we're not going to be able to give you a bonus and increase. Is that true?
Yes.
Is it not true? We've all been down that road. We all know that conversation. And, majority of the time, it's not true. So I wanted to have a level playing field of the person that I'm speaking to. Are we on the same page? Do I know your true intentions? And that developed into creating a company which analyzes human behavior, work with the police on interrogation clips and statements, work with insurance companies on insurance claims where they write up what's happened. And dealing with companies, training individuals on how to conduct a proper interview, training salespeople on how to handle objections successfully, listening, asking the right questions, and being confident enough to be able to handle that objection successfully. So it's a wide range of clientele that we have. And unfortunately, Cyprus is not that accustomed to yet to what I do. And majority of my clientele are international. I do have a few Cypriot clients, some in the political realm. And the reason why they came to me is because when they're speaking, or they're having an interview, or they're having a podcast or interview on TV, there's certain ways that they need to sit, there's certain things they need to do, and so on and so forth. So it's just to be able to help them analyze themselves and for them to learn who they are, what they do, and when they are under pressure, how do they act? And obviously the person in front of them sees this, and good presenter will hone in on this, and they'll attack you a little bit more until you lose your cool and say something that you shouldn't have, or give more information than what you were willing to give, and so on and so forth. So majority of my clientele are international.
That's interesting. So there's a lot to unpack there. You said the police, the local police?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. A branch of the police department in Cyprus, but also international, South Africa, UK, and Australia.
Okay, you got it. And when you mentioned claim forms in insurance, so is this lie detection also in text format that somebody submits in a form, or it's not only in the real-time face-to-face case?
Okay, so very good time to take a step back. Lie detection consists of four main elements. Okay, three main elements, but there's also a fourth one. So the first element is micro expressions. When you're telling me what you're telling me, I need to be able to assess the micro expressions on your face. That's a bit difficult because it's less than a millisecond. It's that quick. So it's difficult for me to be able to look at you while we're having a conversation and then focus on other things. It's difficult. It can be done because I do it, but it's difficult. So that's the first thing, micro expressions. Second thing is body language. What is it that your body is doing, your feet, your arms, your legs, your shoulders, your neck, and so on and so forth, while we're having a conversation? If you're stressed and your breathing patterns change, or your blink rate changes, I know that you're going through stress. I don't need to ask you, Dino, are you feeling stressed? I know this already. So it's the body language. The third thing is word analytics. What does that mean? It means what words are you using to describe something, or what words are you not using to describe something? Okay. So if you're describing something that's sad, I'm looking for words that are associated with the feeling sadness. Okay. If you give me the same words, but you're giving me on a more happy scale rather than the sad scale, for me, that's yellow flag. And then I'll start probing more and say, why isn't Dino feeling sad about this XYZ situation? So it is micro expressions, body language, and word analytics. But the fourth one, which is probably just as important as all the other three, is the baseline of the person. Baseline is, who are you? How do you act when you're stressed? How do you act when you're happy? What's the first impression that you like to give people? And then you build on top of this and say, well, hold on, he was jokey, bubbly. And then when we spoke about the missing 20 euros from the office, he completely withdrew himself and became serious, right? I didn't accuse you, I just asked you. Okay, yes. So that gives me another yellow flag. So it's those 4 things. But with the statements, it's all written. It's all what the person is putting down on paper. How are they describing a specific situation? There was a case that I went through where the person's house burnt down and they wanted to claim it from the insurance company, which is a legitimate claim. But in the actual written statement, they made a mistake of putting their house in the past tense prior to the fire. So they've disassociated themselves from their own house prior to the fire happening, which meant that you knew that there was going to be a fire. You had made yourself ready emotionally to set the house on fire, to run away, and then claim from insurance.
Wait, that confused me. How did they put the... Explain that again.
So, for example, you would say, I bought my house 5 years ago.
Yes.
And the one thing I like about my house is it has a beautiful garden, and I've taken care of my garden. And during that day, the day in question, I was in my house and I brushed my teeth. I did my morning routine. I brushed my teeth. I did my cornflakes and everything else. I left home. I locked the front door. I left home and I went to work. That's okay. You're speaking in the present tense. It's yours. You're taking ownership. And, during the day, I had a funny feeling that something was wrong. So when I went back, I saw that the house was on fire.
Okay.
It's not your house. It's not your home. So you've automatically given away that relationship of me having ownership of the house. Same thing with couples. Usually you'll see if couples have an issue together, when they don't talk about my wife, you say about Susan or Maria. Okay. Dinos, Michael, James, not my husband, not my wife.
Right.
My partner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the words that they use, another thing that I meant with regards to the past sentence is Chris Watts. There was a crime many years ago in the US where some guy was suspected of killing his wife and 2 kids and 1 unborn child. And when they went to interview him, they were missing. They didn't know where they were. They were just missing. And he was like, you know what, please come home. I miss you guys. I wish I could hear your footsteps. I wish I could hear the kids' footsteps again. Which means that you're not going to hear your kids' footsteps ever again. Jeez. Just a small word. Yeah. And then they found out that he was the one that killed and so on. But anyway, so even using words past tense, present tense gives an indication whether you knew something was going to happen. Right. There are also other small things, nuances. So the number 3, if the number 3 occurs in a sentence, usually there is some deception going on. And you might think, Anto's crazy. What is he talking about?
Yes, that's tell me more.
So if I ask you, Dinamo, I called you, why didn't you answer? And you say, how many times, when did you call me? Retino, I called you 3 times. Lie. Okay. Did you follow up on that pending invoice? No, I followed up 3 times, they didn't answer. It's a lie. The reason why we're comfortable with the number 3 or any number that's associated to number 3 is very simple. In our childhood days, we were read bedtime stories. 3 little pigs, 3 blind mice, right? Sleeping Beauty. She went to the ball 3 times. Sleeping Beauty. Cinderella. She went to the ball 3 times.
Right. That's interesting.
Red Riding Hood. The witch tried to poison her 3 times. I mean, there's so many. Lion King. There's 3 main hyenas. In the cave where that monkey, I don't even know what the name is, he has pictures. There's 3 different pictures. So even at a young age, we are programmed to associate a fib or a lie or a fairy tale with the number 3. And I can send this information to you. I mean, it's there. It's not like pseudoscience. It's there. So again, if I see the number 3, I tried to call you 3 times, and say, yellow. It doesn't mean that you're lying.
Yes.
I just need to probe a little bit more. And I say, okay, let's go to that person's call list and see, did they really call that person 3 times? Which then goes to the police and they do the investigations and so on and so on.
Okay.
So yeah.
Super interesting. So when did you start the company?
When?
Yeah.
probably 10 years ago, I want to say 9-10 years ago.
That's a lie.
Well, it was 3 years ago. Times the 3, 9, about 9 or 10 years ago.
Okay. And how is it that you work with companies? So, for example, because I'm trying to, I don't even know where to start in terms of how you offer this as a service. How do you approach, and what kind of revenue stream is it? A once-off? Is it ongoing? A monthly retainer?
Yeah.
Is it how does that business work?
Look, it depends. I'll answer the first question that you had. So the first question is, how does that work, and how do clients come? So just imagine that I had a FX company in Limassol approach me and saying, hey, we see that you are lie detection, blah blah blah, can you provide us with a polygraph assessment of someone that we are suspecting of something? Now, I can offer that, but back then I didn't. This was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Back then I didn't. Now I'm certification, I can understand what the polygraph means and so on and so forth. So serious companies out there look for people like me in the interview phase, just to make sure that they're hiring the right people, okay, which is very important. I don't mean junior positions. I mean positions that people can do damage to a company, whether it be on social media, whether it be finance, whether it be legal, and so on and so forth. On the flip side, I have companies that want to boost their sales and their business development, and they will get me to train their salespeople in, first of all, understanding body language. So when I'm speaking to someone, I need to be able to analyze you and then utilize that in my sales pitch. Not lie, but utilize what I have. Because the only thing I have is probably an email and a 2-minute phone call that I had with your assistant. So that helps in that process. So again, majority of the clients for the past couple of years, they come to me. I don't need to actively reach out. Now, I like to do my research in the market. Some people call it playing games. I like to find out what's happening in the market. So what I've done over the past probably 4 or 5 weeks is send out through LinkedIn to HR people that are hiring for a specific position saying, hey, this is what I do. If you need any help, let me know. Basically, I'll be the filter for you not to waste any time, money for your company. And I haven't received one positive response, as in, yes, come. Why? Again, we go back to the mentality of, I know how to run an interview. I don't need your help. Okay, you might know how to run an interview, but do you know how to run a successful interview?
Right.
And that's different. I had one client that came to me that said, you know what, we have an issue filling a specific position, again, in the finance industry. And I told him, how long has this position been vacant for? And he said, it's about 12 months, about a year. I said, okay, how many people have come and gone? And he said, well, 7, 8, probably 9 or 10. So I'm thinking, hold on, 12 months it's been vacant. You've gone through 10 people. That means that you've hired someone, fired, or they've left 10 times or 9 times. Something is wrong.
Yes.
So I said, okay, do you have an indication with regards to what the issue may be? And his response was, we just haven't found the right candidate. Okay, we both know that's not true. It means that there's some issue, underlying issue where, you're not paying them on time, you've lied to them, or the environment is toxic. And then, there's multiple reasons. But again, HR people, line managers, hiring managers, they don't want to accept that they can learn more, especially in Cyprus, not internationally. In the UK, in the US, you have funds that are saying, hey, man, we've got the CFO position, we need your help. They come to you because they understand the value. Right. Whereas in Cyprus, they still don't understand it because I think it's more of an ego thing. You can't tell me something I don't know. Well, trust me, I can.
Well, let's maybe enlighten the audience over here, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Cypriot viewers here, people that are based in Cyprus. Expand on that. How is it that lie detection adds value to? I can obviously come up with my assumptions here, but I'll let you kind of explain the true value around, how are you helping me on my bottom line when I'm in my interviewing procedure? Okay,
so there's multiple layers to this. It's like an onion. I'll try and peel one layer at a time. So first of all, recruiting someone costs money, time and money to the company. Why? Because you have your HR and your line manager in interviews probably 4 to 5 hours a day trying to fill a specific position, which taking them away from their day-to-day duties and responsibilities. That's a given. That's the first thing. Second thing is that if you end up hiring the wrong person, you go through the whole training. Again, you're spending time, you're investing money, and then that goes down the drain. Forget about all the social insurance, YESI, and all the governmental stuff that you need to go through, hoops, and then you need to go back to them and say, sorry, this guy no longer works for us. These are the new records. So it's just a pain to go through this process, and it costs time and it costs money. Now, in an interview, a candidate is there for one reason and one reason only: to shine more than the other people that you're going to see. Okay, so in that aspect, 99.9% of the time, they're going to say a lie. They're going to fib about something, about their experience, about the relationships, about what they do, blah, 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 blah. Okay. If you hire someone on the wrong pretense, it's like me coming and saying, Dino, you know what? I have this land. It's 5 acres. It's in Strovolo, prime area. It's in Strovolo, and everything that you need is there, and I'm selling it for 10K. You're going to tell me, Anto, wow, that's like cheap. Yeah. And you're going to say, okay, cool. And you're going to buy it. Once you sign and I give you the title deeds, I'm going to say, there's just one thing. You can't build anything on that land. Right? Yeah. This is what the interview phase does. I'm not being truthful. So I was in one interview, and I'll give you actual cases. I was in one interview where I was hired to be a viewer and an observer. I wasn't allowed to speak. I just had to take down notes and then bring my notes to the head of the department.
Was it an online interview or face-to-face?
It wasn't in Cyprus. It was in person in Cyprus.
Okay.
Again, financial company in Limassol. And the interview went fantastically well. They were talking, they were this. And then the HR person asked the individual, so just a formality I need to tick. Again, we go back to the tick boxes. I just think I need to tick because the line manager, he wants me to say, you have experience with Jira, correct? And obviously the guy said, yes. He's not going to say no. He's not going to say, excuse me, what does Jira mean? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, cool, bum. So they finished the interview, fantastic. And there's a rating that the HR person gives the hiring manager or the line manager. So they went back and they said, you need to hire this guy and this person. Why this person? Well, because Plus they know Jira. It's a bonus. And they used to use Confluence in Jira locally. Fantastic. And I'm looking at the line manager, I'm looking at the HR, and I said, well, just may I interject 2 seconds? Just as an FYI, that candidate does not know what Jira is, let alone work with it. And she's like, no, but he told me he knows. I said, no, you told him he knows. And without you looking at his body language where he was screaming like, I hope she doesn't ask me anything else about Jira because I don't know what she's talking about. And just tick the box and go. So had you hired that person, you would have said, okay, cool. Here's your task. Here's your login details to Jira, work your magic. And he's going to be like, youtube.com tutorials on Jira. It's not a bad thing to learn something new, but you're not hiring the person based on what they know. Okay. So
you picked that up. You picked it up on the internet.
It's straightforward. Right. It's straightforward. I mean, look, when I speak to people, I see like a graph, okay? And I put specific things on the graph, X and Y axis. If something doesn't fit and it's not correlated, I'll say, oh, yellow flag, and I'll try and dig a little bit deeper. So these things I see. I give another example. We had an interview. Someone came in, again, as an observer in Cyprus, and taking down notes, and it came to this person's education. And this person had written down they had studied at Harvard and they did some sort of degree. I don't remember what the degree was, but it was a degree. So they said, oh my God, you studied at Harvard. That's fantastic. How long did it take you? And the guy said, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. Oh, fantastic. Okay, let's go to the work experience. But when he answered that question, for me, I had a yellow flag because he rushed his answer very quickly. Like, I don't want to keep talking about this. Okay. So I let that go. I thought maybe the HR would pick this up, which they didn't. So towards the end, right at the end, I was like, sorry, 2 seconds. Can I just ask a quick question? And she's like, yeah, of course, well, please. I said, can you, you say you've studied in Harvard, yeah? And he's like, yes. I said, that must be fantastic. You studied there in Harvard? I mean, the classrooms, old wooden floors, the smell of books. It must be amazing. And truly, it must be an amazing experience to study there. And he's like, yes, it was good. It was okay. It was okay. It was very nice. I said, okay, cool. I said, so what's the one impression that left with you after you? And he said, look, I didn't study every day there. I didn't go to class every day there. And I said, well, okay, hold on. You were studying abroad. You have classes every day, right? I mean, It's logic. So I was like, okay, so which classes did you go to there? Nah, but it wasn't like, I wasn't on campus. I said, I didn't ask you if you were on campus. I said, which classes did you go to? So again, you're trying to divert the question. Anyway, long story short, he then acknowledged that he studied through Harvard online program, not physically going there.
Right.
Now, had I not interjected, the HR personnel would have gone and said, we have a person that's gone to Harvard, that they studied there. And it's more impressive than someone that says, I went to University of Cyprus, for example, right? So why isn't that person going to get the job or the opportunity over something that's not true? So again, it's the questions they ask, the answers they get, and also the body language when you're talking to me. What kind of responses are you giving me? And how quickly do you want to go through that process? So it's these things that people don't know because they just have a tick box.
Super interesting. That is.
One company I used to work for, they gave the hiring managers a list of 7 questions. And you had to ask each question, chronological order, and then write the responses. Okay. Now, Dino, what are your strengths? And you say, my strengths are, his strengths are, he is meticulous. I'm not looking at what you're doing or how I'm just writing it down because I need to write it down because it needs to go to the HR.
Right. Okay.
I'm losing that thing. So I would say, forget about this. Leave it to one side. Tell me about yourself.
And look at the person.
Open in a question.
Yeah.
There's no time limit to this.
Yes.
And I'm a very meticulous person. I like to do things. Maybe I have ADHD. Maybe I'm this. I'm very and my friends call me paranoid. And I know my boss hates me because it just comes out. I don't need to do the interview to find out who you are. Another position I was interviewing for was more to work with numbers, to work with data. And lady came in, fantastic girl, right? She came in, bubbly person. She'd studied finance, fantastic. She was a good fit for the role. So I said, can I ask you a quick question? What are you passionate about in life? And she was like, that's not a question I'm expecting. She said, well, I love working with kids. I said, okay, cool. Most people will say, fantastic, I like kids too. And then carry on. I said, okay, what about kids do you like the most? Why do you want to work with them? And she's like, I like to work with handicapped kids because they need and this and that. Fantastic, okay. Have you ever thought about being a teacher? And the response was, yes, I've done a diploma online and I'm submitted my name to the education department in Cyprus. And when something comes up, they will call me. So that's your passion. Not working with numbers and analyzing data and forming KPIs. But it's just one simple question that leads to another, If I didn't ask that, I would have never known. We would have hired her. She would have done a fantastic job. You would have done a fantastic job, but she wouldn't have been happy. And when the time came, she would have left to something that she was actually passionate about. Yes. Just like I'm passionate about what I do. I'm a numbers person, but I can't work in an office 9 to 5.
Yes.
It's not me, and it hasn't been me for a long time. So this is what I do, and this is what I do best.
I mean, that also opens up the debate, it's an interesting perspective because I think the person might not really know that they're lying. I think this now ties into self-awareness, right?
Yes.
She might have really believed that that's the job she wanted for whatever her reasons were.
Yes.
And they were true to her.
Yes.
And then this is a self-awareness thing.
Yes.
And actually being realistic, are you actually going to be happy moving forward in this job role, in this example you brought?
Yeah.
And don't lie to yourself.
Ask yourself a question, right? What do I want to do?
Right.
I go back to another instance where I was interviewing someone for a finance position. The guy walked in, within split second, I knew he was sales, right? He was born to be a salesperson. Like he could close you within seconds. He could close me within seconds. Yeah. I would buy another 10 mobiles because he's good at what he does. So we had an interview, 5 minutes, and I'm like, Andreamu, I can give you this job. You can do this job. You're smart, you're switched on, you've got education. This isn't the line of work that you should be doing. And he's like, yeah, I know, I did this before in another company. I wasn't really happy there. And I was like, you're not happy because you should be in sales. You're a salesperson. Anyway, long story short, I didn't give him the job. He was actually happy with me saying no to him and the reasons why I say no to him. And we kept in touch for probably 7-8 years. And during that time, I saw his transition towards sales. Sales. And now he's running offices, brokerage offices in Dubai, in Qatar, and he's crushing it. Had he been in that position, he would have still be crunching numbers, making, whatever he would be making, but not really happy. And then when the time comes, you get married, you have kids, then you have the fear factor of maybe now's not the right time because I have all these obligations and blah, blah, blah. Okay, now is the right time. Just do it.
Right.
If you fail, you have 6 months to lose, 1 year to lose from your life. Big deal. At least you say, I tried. Same with me. When I said I'm not going to go into the corporate world and work for someone else, people are like, oh, you're crazy. You're going to be unemployed. You're going to be on the streets. Yeah, I didn't care. I believed in this and I made it work. It was tough in the beginning, trust me, right?
I'm sure.
But you find that niche, you find your network, and you find the people, and you surround yourself with the people that understand you for who you are and what you believe in. And then from probably 1,000 people that you have in your network, you kind of dwindle that down, filter that down to probably 50, 60 like-minded individuals that help you in this type of process, rather than say, oh, but you're not going to do this and be the devil on the shoulder to always give you the negative stuff. I know the negative stuff. I've gone through that process. I need the positive stuff, but not lie to me and say, yeah, you can do this. No, it's going to be difficult, but I'm sure you can do this provided that you go down this road. But yeah, sorry. Yeah.
That's interesting. And I was going to ask one of the questions, but you kind of you've kind of answered this in how you've described, you're interviewing people that you don't know.
Yes.
But I did want to ask this anyway, and that is, how much does it play a role for you to actually know the individual? Because, if you're speaking to somebody you've never met before, obviously you don't know the person's character. You don't know what's going on in their background. Maybe there's some big issues happening which might give a false indication on them lying. They're being tense, but they're telling the truth. And now that's maybe giving the wrong signals. And, how important is it that you at least know the individual? Okay, this person's not being himself now, but actually he's telling the truth. And versus, you meeting somebody today, you had got no history, no background. Give us a little bit on that as well.
So to start off with, the baseline of the person is very important, right? Who am I? What do I do? How do I think? So for example, I've noticed that you play with your hands a lot, because you might feel that's a way to be able to think about the next question.
Are you speaking about me specifically?
Yes.
Wow.
Or different types of questions you want to ask, okay? I don't know you. It's the first time I've met you. We've been speaking for like 30 minutes, okay? Second thing, when you're thinking about something, you're looking down. You're not looking up. Majority of the people will look up when they're trying to think about something. You do the opposite. So if I ask you now, Dino, can you tell me a little bit about, what's the culture like here? And then you start looking up and you tell me, I know that there's a red flag, because the last 10, 15 minutes, that was your baseline. It's down thinking. Okay. Now, if I know...
So interesting. Let me tell you. Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah.
There are many times where I look up as well. And I've caught myself looking up and I speak. It's strange. I know today I'm looking down. It is.
Yes.
It's true. Yeah. Everything you said is true. It's
another thing. So for example... When you get someone to sit down and you say, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? I can guarantee you, and this you can even check with your guests. I mean, I'll actually go online and I'll check you've got a YouTube channel, right? Okay, I'll check your channel. When you say explain yourself or introduce yourself, majority of 9 times out of 10, I guarantee you, write it on the wall, people start swerving left and right. Well, my name is Anto, and I studied this. They do this. Why? It's a nervous reaction to me speaking about myself. Okay, so it becomes like a nervous tick. Majority of the people out there do that. Okay, if I ask you, tell me a little bit about yourself, and you don't do this, it means one of two things. Either that's not your character to sway like this, because you talk about yourself often, and it's normal behavior for you, right? Or you are trying to suppress any type of movements in the interview. For example, there was one case that I analyzed, I didn't work on, but I analyzed, where they suspected someone for murder and they called him for an interview. And they conducted an interview for probably about 4 hours with this individual. And for the full 4 hours, this person was sitting like this.
Didn't move,
right? I can send you the clip, watch it at 5 times speed. He does not change. The head, shoulders, hands, feet, nothing. Because he's thinking, don't move, don't make a movement, because he knows that the people that are interviewing him understand body language, right? Wow. And if he gives something away, that's going to be perceived as negative. So I digress. Going back to your question, knowing someone is easier to understand when they're lying, but it's a double-edged sword. Why? Is he lying to me? but why would he lie? He would never lie to me. Mm-hmm. He's being dishonest with me, but would he actually be? So you start questioning yourself, because I know you. You know, we've been friends for 30 years. You would never lie to me. And then you start thinking of excuses for the lie.
Right.
Whereas if I don't know you, and I'll say, well, why are you lying, man? You know, why are you lying about X, Y, Z? I can do this easier because I don't have that personal connection. That's why in relationships, specifically in marriages, people get divorced because they stop speaking to each other, because they don't want to listen to each other anymore, right? Because they know that you're going to say this, I'm going to say this, and it's going to be the same thing. So they stop communicating with each other. Same in the workplace. A lot of managers, they don't speak to their employees because they know what's going to happen. They know what's going to be said. That's because they know each other. So knowing someone is good and bad, because you have the baseline, but you'll kind of make up excuses for that person. Oh, that person lied to me. I know they lied to me, but they lied to me because they wanted to protect me, for example. Right. Whereas if it's someone that you don't know, 5 minutes, you have that session. I know that, okay, this is who you are. There was a research done many years ago where, if not mistaken, you decide on 25 points on a person in the first 7 to 10 seconds. So I decide if you're wealthy or not by the watch you're wearing or any jewelry that you have. We just made 7 seconds, right? I decide if you're a fit person, if you go to the gym, if you're health. I decide if you're a religious person, if you're wearing a cross or a Star of David or whatever the case may be. And I decide on 25 aspects of you in the first 7 to 10 seconds of meeting someone. That's why they say first impressions last. Because it's very difficult for me to be able to veer away from what you think you know. And, you know, being introduced and I'm picking my nose and I shake your hand, you're not going to shake my hand ever again, right? Because that's going to come to mind. It's exactly the same thing. So we form 25 opinions on someone in the first 7 to 10 seconds, which is absolutely insane.
Yes.
And then it's my job to be able to go through that and say, you know, are you really a fit person? Do you like going to gym? Do you enjoy going to gym? Do you take classes? Do you do, you know, iron? Do you do workouts? Do you do Zumba? You know, all these different types of questions, if it's, you know, if I need to ask you those questions. But yeah, it's not always easier if you know someone, but I like to meet new people and I like to, you know, play a game and to get to see, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I went to I was going to say a bar, at a cafe place. And the barista was wearing a name tag. I forgot what the name was. Let's say Maria, for example, right? And she's like, hi, can I have your order? I said, hey, Galimera, Stephanie Mo, can I have a frappe? And she's like, like, what are you, an idiot? It says the Maria, right? But I did that on purpose so I can actually analyze her expression. What is she going to do? What is she going to say? What's her facial reaction going to be? And then how is she going to deal with that, in a way, negativity of some idiot coming ordering coffee with, he can't even read your name, right? But it's fun and games. It's fun and games for me.
It is awesome. I think it's almost like having a superpower, because, you know, you've got an advantage, right? You've got an advantage in any confrontation that, you know, that you speak into the person. You know, you talk about sales and all these different roles. I'm of the strong opinion every single person needs to have some form of salesmanship, some form of convincing ability.
True.
In anything. You know, personal life, professional life. You're speaking to your spouse, your better half. You're speaking to whatever it is, right? Yeah. You need to have the ability to speak your mind and convince the person and explain, you know, what you actually believe to be true, and having the ability to read the other person and know you've got an advantage. You do have some kind of an advantage over the other person.
I think it is kind of like a superpower, like you mentioned, but I think everyone can do that if they are able to ask the right questions and they're willing to listen. Because a lot of people, they just talk, but not listen to what the person is saying.
So like actually pay attention to the
person.
Read between the lines and try and understand, you know, what is happening here.
So for example, you go to your girlfriend and you say, baby, let's go out for Italian tonight. And she's like, no, I don't feel like having Italian. Okay, it doesn't mean that she doesn't want Italian. Maybe she's not hungry. So you say, okay, what are you hungry for? And if she says, well, we haven't had Chinese for a long time, you say, okay, cool, in Chinese. Okay. Not to say, oh, but every time I say Italian, you say no. Yes. Maybe she's not hungry. Maybe she had a big lunch in the afternoon. Yes. I mean, these type of things. So it's not just you think you know. Yes. You need to ask.
Right.
And that's why, again, I'm going back to sales, HR. It's to be able to probe the prospect. Why don't you want to buy from me? What do you need to think about? Why is it expensive? Who are you comparing us to?
Right.
You know, these are touchy subjects that a lot of people don't want to discuss, but I love it because it tells me that you have a concern and I need to overcome this concern.
Right.
Not in a confrontational way, but in like, okay, it's the first time someone has denied my services. Why?
Yes.
Like, just tell me for my own benefit.
Yes.
And then you'll get to see, oh, but your competitors are more cheaper, they offer more services, blah, blah, blah. And then you go to, well, you know, we're a small boutique. We can customize anything that you want. You mentioned you're looking for a KPI report on your expenses. We can do that as part of the package. We're not going to charge you extra like, you know, the top 5 accounting firms do. Bam, 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 bam. But you are then able to handle the objection in a constructive way rather than have an argument with the prospect and say, you know what, to hell with you. You know, I don't care about it anymore. Just walk out the door. You've burnt that lead for life.
So as opposed to being kind of emotional about it and looking at it, you know, selfishly, it's rather be curious and explore and navigate what, you know, the other person's side.
Look, you mentioned the word selfishly. Salespeople are selfish in essence because they need to make the sale in order to be able to get the commission, in order to be able to get the paycheck, in order to be able to pay the bills. It's general, right?
Yeah. And natural to almost out of instinct approach it in perhaps the wrong way.
Look, 9 times out of 10 salespeople will say things that are not true. Like, will I be able to contact you after? Yeah, of course. I'll give you my number. He's not going to give the mobile number. He'll give the office number, and he's never in the office, right? It's these small things that if I'm a client, I'm going to say, but Dinos told me I can call him, and I can never get hold of him.
Yes.
For me, that's an issue. So I'll say, you know, I'm not going to subscribe to you guys anymore. My service agreement is done. I'm going to go to your competitor. And you're like, oh, but why? And this and that. So just trying to avoid those, trying to get the sale, and be honest. I prefer to have one client, and that client's going to bring me another 10 clients because I'm honest, because I'm trustworthy, because I did exactly what I said in the same timeline as I told you I would, then just to, you know, say something just to get the sale, to be able to get the commission, and then that's you're not going to see me ever again. That's
right.
wrong.
I wanted to try over here. Maybe we can try a little game where you ask me to give you, I don't know, however you want to do it. Try and detect if I'm lying or not.
Okay.
How should we conduct this? Tell me what to do.
So I'm going to start off this specific part with, there's a lot of misconception when it comes to lie detection, body language, and analyzing when someone is being deceptive or not. And the reason why there's a lot of misinformation is because a lot of people have access to, you know, social media. So I watch a clip on Instagram. The guy tells me, if your spouse does this, they're lying. It doesn't work that way, right? You cannot tell someone if someone is lying just by one thing. We're talking about microexpressions, body language, word analytics, and the baseline of the person. So I need to analyze 4 things simultaneously to be able to see if you're lying or not. So one of the things which I noticed recently is, right, if you can, put your hands up like this, straight, okay? And I want you to, I'm going to give you a false statement. I'm going to give you a lie that I want you to repeat exactly what I'm saying word for word, right? Okay, so it was, I like to eat vomit. So if you can repeat that.
I like to eat vomit.
Okay. Now, my name is Dinos and I run my own business.
My name is Dinos and I run my own business.
Okay. You notice that there was less of a resistance when he said the truth than when you lied. I like to eat vomit. It touched the table. My name is Dinos. Okay. The reason for that, you can put the hands. Okay. The reason for that is when you're telling a lie, your brain is focusing more on the lie that you're telling to be able to make it believable than by focusing your whole body saying it is what it is, right? Power stance kind of thing. So you can't do this and say, okay, let me see if he's lying. Okay, put up your hands and make a step. You can't do this. It sounds really weird. That's the one thing. Second thing is, I want you to give me 3 statements, okay? 2 of the statements, I want it to be factual and true. And 1 statement, I want it to be a far out lie.
Okay.
Go.
I'm not good at thinking on the spot, but I'll give it a try. Okay. Here's 1 statement. About 3 weeks ago, I had hired 4 people and they all started on the exact same day.
Okay. 1.
That's 1. During the month of summer, I went on a holiday for 3 weeks. And this morning, I woke up at 6:30 and went to the gym.
Okay. So I'm going to go with the third statement, that you woke up at 6:30 and went to the gym. Okay. I'm going to go with that not being true based on what I read on Instagram and stuff. Why? Because when you said, and this morning, you asked a question. You didn't make a statement. You didn't say, this morning I went to the gym at 6:30. You said, this morning I went to the gym. So if you go through, people like Joe Navarro and Chase Hughes and these guys that are ex-CIA military and stuff, they'll say that if someone's making a statement and it ends up being a question, the tone, it means that there's deception. So based on this, I'm going to say it's the third one. Am I right?
Well, it wasn't a flat out lie. I woke up at 5:30.
Yeah, okay.
And I did go to the gym.
Okay. So when you said, when I woke up this morning, that you knew that you were going to tell a lie.
Right.
On the time. I don't know if you went to the gym or not. That's irrelevant. I know that there's a deception in that sentence.
Right. I might have not have done it. So I didn't really wake up at 6:30. I woke up earlier. Right.
Yeah.
But
I know.
I was trying that one to be the true statement.
Okay.
One of the other two are the lie.
But it didn't work out to be the true statement. Okay. The middle statement that you did,
yes,
with having 3 weeks,
yes,
instead of looking down like you usually do, you looked up. So for me, that kind of gives away that you were either lying about going on holiday, or you were lying about going on holiday for 3 weeks, or you were being honest, but you're trying to process how many weeks did I actually go on holiday on?
Right.
Okay. So the second statement, again, there's a bit of a dishonesty, maybe because it's not 3 weeks, maybe it's 2 weeks and 3 days, for example. I'm just saying. Okay. The first statement that you've hired 4 people and they all started simultaneously, you kind of said that in a flow whereby you've said this before. Like you've said this to someone again and again. So it's kind of like normal human nature. So again, going on what you see on social media, I would say statement 2 has deception in it. So we said deception, statement 3 is deceptive, we said that. Statement 2 also has a deception. Am I right?
Yes, it was a lie.
Okay, so deception 1 is true with regards to the hiring of the same people, hiring 4 people simultaneously. But I also got the feeling that you've regurgitated this probably 10 times. I mean, not 10 times, maybe 7 times. Yeah. Where you've said this, so it was like second nature. You didn't flinch, you didn't switch, you didn't say 3 weeks ago, 4 people. No, because you said this. Okay, so it's easy to be able to understand. And I don't even know you, so I don't know your baseline, but I kind of brought the baseline as we were speaking and we were doing the introductions with Andreas and so on and so forth. So it's relatively easy to tell when someone's lying based on specific things. Keep in mind that I don't know what your feet are doing. If your feet are pointed away,
yes,
it means that you are lying. If your feet are pointed towards me, it means that you're being honest. And also other things as well concerning that. But again, just looking at the torso, the hands, and what you're saying, statement 2 was a flat out lie. Statement 3, there was a lie to it, but I didn't call you out and saying that's a lie because I knew it's not the morning. Something had to do with the morning.
Yes.
And then statement 3, you just regurgitated as if you said it 1,000 times. So it can't not be true.
Yes. That's interesting.
I mean, I'm good at what I do.
Yes.
And proving it, I give you another example. I went to a company many years ago in Limassol, again, a financial company, and I was doing a sales workshop over the weekend. And one of the sales people there was your average, arrogant, know-it-all salesperson. Okay. He's the poster boy of the firm. So off the bat, analyzing people, I said, okay, this guy is going to be a problem, but in any case, we'll overcome this. So we're going through the process, we're going through the introductions and beginning of the workshop. And I noticed that he's being somewhat disruptive to the rest of the group, not playing along on the workshop, on the tasks on the workshop, and so on and so forth. So I said, you know what, guys, I want to give you, forget about this. I want to give you guys a task, a project. And they're like, oh, what project? We like this. I said, okay, I want you to give me a statement that's not true, and I will overcome that objection. I will overcome the falseness of this for you to say, yes, sorry, you were right. And they're like, okay, so what do we do? I said, give me a fact that's not true. So by doing this, the problematic salesperson said, let me go. It's his time to shine now, right? Let me go. I said, okay, cool. I said, yeah, let's go. And he said, the color of the sky is always pink. Okay, now how do you overcome this objection? Right? No, it's not, it's blue, it's this and that. I said, okay. It's like, give me 2 minutes, let me think about this. Okay, so what you're telling me is that day, night, the color of the sky is pink, correct? Yes, it is pink. Okay. And you're telling me when the sun comes out, when the moon comes out, when the sun goes down, when the moon goes down, solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, you have it. The color of the sky is always pink, correct? Yes, it's pink. Okay. Have you lived on a farm before? He's like, no, I've never lived on a farm. I mean, he's a city boy, right? I've never lived on a farm. Yeah. No, of course not. I'm from Detector, by the way. I said, okay. Have you ever been to a farm? And he's like, yeah, I don't know where this is going to. I said, just indulge me. Have you been to a farm? He's like, yes, I've been. Okay, cool. That's a lie. And he's like, okay, what difference does it make? I said, no, I'm just saying that's a lie. But anyway, we'll carry on. Yeah. Anyway, so I asked him a couple of questions and I said, what's on a farm? What kind of animals do you have on the farm? Okay. Do you know you have horses on the farm? Yes. Okay. Do you know you have cows on the farm? Yes. Do you know you have chickens on the farm? Yes. Do you know you have pigs on the farm? Yes. Okay. Let me ask you a quick question. If you take a pig, like you take one baby piglet and you hold it, and then you decide to throw it up in the air, like you do like a rugby ball or a soccer ball, and then you throw it up in the air as high as you can, will you be able to catch that pig? And he's like, no, of course I will. I was like, how would you see the pig? He said, of course, if I throw it in the air, I'll see it in the sky and all coming down. Okay, so what you're telling me is that the sky is not always pink. And he's like, he said a word which I can't say. And he's like, hey, you're good, huh? You're good, huh? And the sales manager there, he was, he found that funny, he was chuckling. So the thing is that it's not confrontational. So the reason I'm saying this is that from that moment onwards, he was cool, right? He was okay. He was taking on board. He was involved. He was involving other people as well. But I had to break that down in the first 1 hour. Otherwise, it would have been a problematic long weekend of, doing a sales boot camp. But yeah, I love what I do.
That's awesome. Just a couple more questions here.
Yeah.
Let's dig around here. So, okay, you started the company, what is it, almost 10 years ago, and is that the only business that you're currently involved in? You do nothing else?
So I was involved in software development many years ago, and I've got over 2 decades of financial experience. So I've worked with financial companies, accounting firms, tax planning firms, hedge funds, both on the client facing and on the fund facing side. So I've worked on accounting. That's a lie. My previous companies that I worked at, like a 9-to-5 job, was the representative of Sage, which is the accounting software. So a natural transition or progression was for me to be able to build out reports that are taken from Sage and also Eurosoft, or I think it's eSoft, my mistake. And that's one thing that we were doing. We were analyzing with another partner of mine to be able to build up KPI reports for accounting softwares. And also at the same time, we were working on a POS, a point of sale software, a point of sale solution software, whereby, you do stock take, you do accounting, you do inventory and so on and so forth. Again, for a company in Cyprus, which they had multiple stores. It was successful, but then they closed down. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is I do coaching, again, pure sales coaching, which I utilize objection handling when it comes to body language and word analytics, but it's pure sales, like crunch the numbers, know your KPIs, you put your numbers in, you're going to get the numbers out. Right. It's more of a sales coach. I don't like to use the word sales coach because you can go online, do a Udemy course of 10 minutes, and then you can be certified, hypnotherapist, for example. So I do that coaching as well when it comes to the sales. And, recently I've taken up I'm working with a group on the emotion intelligence side of things. So we're doing emotion intelligence workshops for teenagers.
Okay.
So that's next level. It's not like high level stuff where you talk. No, it's basically, how do you get along with your parents? How do you know when your friends are doing drugs? How can you tell when someone is pressuring you? How can you tell when someone is bullying you? How can you tell when a specific situation is going to go bad? And these type of things, again, social awareness, awareness of your surroundings, self-awareness, communication skills, and so on and so forth. So that's something that's also picked up. And we've done quite a few workshops. We did one workshop a couple of weeks ago at KPMG, at their offices. And so I'm doing quite a few things.
So just back on the topic of lying, let me ask you a couple of questions.
Yes.
So I guess these are two separate questions.
Sure.
One kind of ties in with the other. My first question is obviously, you putting so much effort and attention and focus on sharpening your skills, on detecting, if somebody's telling you the truth and making sure you're on the same wavelength and whatever it is. How has that helped you in your ability to lie to another person if you ever needed to?
Yeah.
That's the first question. Yeah. And then from there, I'd like to hear your opinion. Do you think that lies are bad and nobody should ever lie? Or is there a place in this world for lies?
Okay. The reason why I laughed at your first question is because that's the first thing people ask me. Hey, Anto, I thought you know how to pick up lies. You can be a good liar. You can be a good poker player, and so on and so forth. Again, we go back on everything that we do when it comes to body language, micro expressions, and word analytics. It's subconsciously done. Okay. When I'm nervous, I might, tap the back of my neck. I might rub my nose. I might straighten my collar. That's a sign that I'm nervous. Okay. I don't know that I'm doing this. When you're thinking, you're looking down with your fingers. You don't know that you're doing this, but you're doing this, and I can tell, okay, Dinos is thinking about the next question to ask me. So it's done subconsciously. Okay. So it doesn't mean that you can become a liar because you don't know you're doing this. I might be doing something if I lie, that you're going to say, oh, he's lying because he went like this, for example, or he's tapping his hand, whatever the case may be. But when we lie, we give subconscious cues where the other person picks up as you're having a conversation. So the leakage that we have is done subconsciously. We're not aware that we're doing this.
Understand. And so I guess, and tell me if you agree with this, what you've done in terms of your skill to detect lies is not what's necessary for you to be able to lie and trick someone who, let's say, has the same skills as you. If you wanted to do that, Tom Cruise might be the right candidate, right? Tom Cruise might be able, because actors, right?
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
So even Tom Cruise, if I sit down and say, hey, Tom, Ella, grazie, let's have a suvlakia. Okay, tell me a little bit about yourself, blah, blah, blah. And hey, how much money do you make this year? I know he's going to lie, okay? And I need to understand why he's lying and how much he's lying about. So everybody would do this. It's not like he's an actor and he's going to be able to lie. You will give off subconscious leakage, subconscious cues that something isn't going right. For example, if someone tells me, Anto, can you lie to me? I'm not going to be Anto anymore. I'm going to be someone else, and you're going to be like, but he was funny and making jokes and he was having eye contact, and now he's not doing any of those things. Why? Okay. Because subconsciously, I'm going to maybe look away, or maybe I look at you more. I'll go back to that in a sec. Maybe I speak with my hands. Maybe I stop moving. So you will notice this again. You will process this subconsciously. So when you guys leave, you'll tell Andreas, I think this guy is full of BS. You won't know why, but your subconscious has processed all these cues that I'm giving. Okay. So knowing lie detection doesn't make you a good liar, not by a long shot, because everything that we do when we lie, we do subconsciously, right? Someone doesn't play the back of their neck or their chain knowing that they're doing this. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the police interviewing criminals, right? They would just say, no, everything's okay, and then they'll be scot-free. No, it doesn't work that way. That's the first thing. The second question with regards to, is it okay to lie?
Yeah.
There is no right or wrong answer to that question, okay? I'm not being politically correct. I'm saying, I've lied to my son. Why? Santa Claus, Easter Bunny.
Right.
It does exist, okay? These things we label them as white lie. So in my personal opinion, there's two sets of lies. One that you do just for the sake of lying and to possibly make someone feel better about themselves, So for example, someone was talking to their friend of theirs who was going through cancer, and she said, don't worry, everything, she was going through chemo. So the friend said, don't worry, whatever, everything's going to be fine. That's a lie. You're not a doctor. You don't know what's going to happen 6 months down the line. So she didn't do that on purpose just to make, okay. So she lied just to comfort someone. For me, I don't really care about this. The other thing is you lie for malicious intent. So I'm going to lie so that you don't get the promotion and I do, or you don't get the bonus and I do, or I get you into trouble instead of me, or there's a malicious intent to this for my own benefit.
Right.
Okay, that's what I'm not cool with. Okay, generally either or, I don't care if you lie. I honestly don't care. It's for me to decide as an individual to say, do I want to carry on this conversation with Dinos? Do I want to carry on this relationship with Dinos? And then it's my decision to walk away or stay there. So I don't care if people lie. People lie. There was a research that I posted on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago. Back in 2023, in the US, almost 70% of candidates lied either on their CV or during an interview. 70%. And you're thinking, wow, that's shocking. Okay, let me give you the kicker. Same type of survey was done in the US to managers and hiring people, and almost 40% admitted of lying during interviews.
Okay.
So
That's
the manager says, oh, we have a healthy atmosphere in the company. In the meantime, it's toxic. Oh, we give bonuses and increases every 6 months. In the meantime, the last time they did that was like 3 years ago. So again, it's a lie. So you can't crucify someone. It'll be hypocritical to say, oh, but you're a liar. No, everybody lies. We understand this. But for me, I draw the line of, is it hurting someone? Yes or no? Is it going to affect someone's future? So I'm taking the job based on what you told me.
Yes.
And I'm sharing things maybe I shouldn't have. I worked for a company that was pure sales. And my sales target changed probably 4 times during the month. And it changed to become increased. So my target was 3K. I was close, the 10th of the month, and became 4.5K. It became 5K. Okay. But for me, that's a lie. And for me, that's, okay, you don't want to pay me. I'm making 3,000. Why don't you want to pay me? Next month, make it to 10K.
Yes.
But don't play with my motivation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that type of lie, I don't accept. But again, I don't care if people lie. I honestly don't care. I try to be as honest as possible, and I tell the truth as much as I can. I will never hurt anyone, first of all. And that goes, that's visible in every single company I've worked in. Because upper management knew that I'm not going to play their game.
Right.
I'll give you one example. My manager called me in and said, look, Anto, the company's not doing well this year, so we're not going to give any bonuses and increases. Just go ahead and tell your team this. And I looked at him and I'm thinking, okay, the financial statements of the company is public knowledge. Okay. So what you're telling me is go to your team and lie. So I said, look, I'm sorry, I can't do this. And this person said, no, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you.
Right.
At that point, I was like, so I went back to my team, had a meeting. I was like, guys, just as an FYI, I spoke to this person and they told me to tell you that the company's not doing well and you guys aren't going to get a bonus. I did what they asked me to do.
Yeah.
But I did it in the way that I wanted to. So I'm not going to lie to them. Okay. So it's these type of things, especially in the corporate world, where it just really bugs me. But I want people to be able to call out these people and say, hey, I've worked 12 months. I've worked overtime. I've taken additional responsibilities. 2 people left. I'm doing that job as well. You haven't hired someone in that place. Blah, 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 blah. I deserve this. And not to have that confrontation, to have that conversation. It should be a given that, okay, this person's doing more than what the company expects them to do. So again, I digress. I don't care if you're lying. What I do is I decide whether or not I carry on that conversation with you or the relationship or the partnership. Even in business, I've walked away from businesses where, no, I'm not going to carry on with this. And people lie. 40% of employees, 40% of managers lie, 70% of candidates lie. It's a general thing. But as long as it doesn't affect you and it's not malicious, I don't really care. But it's for me to decide whether or not, like I said, I carry on with the conversation. I keep working in the company. I take on that person as a client. I've had a lot of people come to me. I've said no because of the ethics. So I'm an ethical person. Whether you give me 100 euros or 5 million euros, I don't care. I am who I am, and I've proven that throughout the years. Yeah. So yeah, there's for me, there's two types of lie. There's the lie that you say to make people feel better, and then there's that malicious lie of concealing information, making up information that are not true to be able to look better or whatever the case may be.
Right. I think it was that was a good point that you put up there at the end. It's the ethics. At the end of the day, if the person's intent, if someone's ethics, their morals are of good intent, not not malicious, and that person navigates on being who they hold true, who they want to be, and in there's lies and truth. At the end of the day, if the intent is good, if the ethics are there, I guess it doesn't matter.
True.
Yeah.
True. For me, again, any situation that I've been in for years and years and years, I prefer to be honest and open.
Yes.
Rather than hide behind the truth.
If your ethics are true and proper,
and people appreciate that, by the way,
there won't be a need to lie, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Again, all my teams that I've had, whether it's sales or whatever the case may be, my team knew that I had their back. Why? Because I was honest and I was open, always.
Right.
It was never of let me have the smoke and mirrors. The corporate world. No, it's no smoke, no mirrors. What you see is what you get. That's why some people, when it comes to Anto, it's a love or hate. There's no in between. Either you love Anto and you'll love him for the rest of your life, or you hate Anto and you'll hate him for the rest of your life. There's no in between. I'm fine with both. Because if you love me because you know what I am and who I am and what I stand for. And if you hate me, it means that you know that I'm going to call you out sooner or later, right? So I don't care. I like to have both. Like I said, after this podcast, I'm going to have people calling me and saying, how dare you say that about salespeople? And how dare you say that about HR people? Because it's the truth.
Yep.
Statistics don't lie. I'm not making these stats up from the US. They don't lie. So yeah, I honestly don't care. I do what I do. And if it ruffles feathers along the way, then it means that I'm doing something right.
Yes. Super interesting. Anto, we've been here speaking for, I think, over an hour. I think we move on to some closing comments over here. If there's maybe something else that you think I haven't touched on regarding the topic and you want to expand on, let's do that.
No, straightforward.
Otherwise, thank you very much for your time. If you want, please tell people where they can find you, your company. I don't know if we even mentioned your company name or where they can find you. So
the company name is Truthology. They can find me on social media. Just search for Anto, A-N-T-O. I think I'm the only one in Cyprus that has a page with that name. And again, majority of the people that find me, they find me through social media. Keep in mind that I don't promote my services like, someone in sales would, because I don't want to attract all different types of people. My niche is working with people that actually understand this and utilize this while they're in the corporate world and the personal world. So majority of the time, like I said, they come to me and then we have a discussion. I have an interview, and if I like them and they like me and we have that synergy, fantastic. If we don't, then again, fantastic. We just shake hands and walk our separate ways. But social media, again, I'm always looking to interact with people. I'm always looking to help people, even if it's pro bono. I'm more than happy to do that. I've worked on 2 cases in South Africa, cold cases, where I did pro bono work. I didn't get paid for it because I felt like it's something that I'm giving back to the community, especially in South Africa where there's so much crime, so much violence, and cases aren't being looked into. So yeah, just search for Anto, either Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and more than happy to connect. Do you have any people you work with in your team, in your company, or is it just you? Myself and my assistant. Okay. That's it. It's a small group. I do have people that I work with when it comes to delivering workshops. So I work with a psychologist, for example. I work with someone who's certified in negotiations. So I have that affiliation, and that's why I was talking about the network from 1,000 people to 50 people. But I like to have a closer network or a closed-off network, because it's good to be able to exchange ideas because they're like-minded individuals, rather than saying, body language, that's rubbish. Well, okay, prove me wrong if it's rubbish. No. So, so I do work with affiliates, but, it's just me and my assistant.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time, Anto. This
Thank
was
you.
a great conversation, and that's a wrap.
Thank you.